The truth about fall leaves most gardeners get wrong. Listen closely because what I'm about to share could save your lawn from serious damage this season. Those colorful leaves covering your yard, they're either your garden's best friend or its worst enemy, and the difference comes down to just a few simple choices. I'm William Scott, and here on Hidden Gardening Secrets, we cut through the confusion to bring you practical wisdom that actually works. Most people treat autumn leaves like trash. They bag them up, haul them to the curb, and wonder why their garden struggles year after year. But those same leaves could be feeding your soil, protecting your plants through winter, and saving you real money on fertilizer. The catch? You need to know what not to do first. If you're ready to learn the right way to handle fall leaves, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss our weekly tips. Trust me, your garden will thank you.
The big picture: why leaves matter more than you think. When October rolls around and trees start dropping their foliage, most folks see nothing but extra work. Piles of orange, yellow, and brown spread across the grass and garden beds. It looks messy, it feels overwhelming, and the immediate reaction is to clean it all up and make everything look neat again. But hold on a second. Those leaves aren't garbage. They're one of nature's most generous gifts, delivered right to your doorstep without costing you a single penny. The real question isn't whether to use them, it's how to use them properly. Before we go further, do me a favor. Drop a comment below and tell me, do you currently rake your leaves, mulch them, or bag them up? I read every comment, and I'd love to know what you're dealing with in your own yard. Here's the thing. Leaves can work miracles for your soil and plants when handled correctly. But when you make the wrong moves, they can choke out your grass, create disease problems, and waste an incredible opportunity to build better soil. Over my many years of gardening, I've watched people make the same errors autumn after autumn, especially those who are just getting comfortable with outdoor work and seasonal rhythms. At Hidden Gardening Secrets, we are all about making gardening less complicated and more enjoyable, particularly for those of us who want results without breaking our backs. So let's walk through the 8 biggest blunders people make with fall leaves, and more importantly, let's talk about what you should do instead.
Blunder number 1. Burying your grass under a thick blanket. One of the most widespread problems happens when people simply let their leaves sit where they fall, creating a heavy layer across the entire lawn. The thinking goes like this: leaves fall in the forest and nature handles it just fine, so why shouldn't the same work in my yard? Sounds reasonable, right? But your lawn is nothing like a forest floor. The grass growing in your yard, whether it's fescue, bluegrass, rye, or another variety, desperately needs sunlight during the fall. This is when grass stores up energy reserves to survive the cold months ahead. When you cover it with a thick carpet of leaves, you're essentially blocking its food source. Picture throwing a heavy blanket over your grass. The blades can't breathe, they can't photosynthesize. Disease starts creeping in. And when spring finally arrives, instead of seeing thick, healthy green turf, you'll find weak patches, bare spots, and unhappy grass that's struggled all winter. Now, I'm not saying every single leaf must be removed immediately. A light scattering, especially from smaller leaves like those from birch or ash trees, won't hurt anything. These tiny leaves can actually slip down between grass blades and decompose without causing trouble. The real problem comes from broad, heavy leaves, think maple and oak. These overlap and create a smothering mat. Here's the simple test. Look at your lawn. Can you still see plenty of green grass through the leaves? If not, you've got work to do. If you're finding this helpful, give this video a thumbs up so more gardeners can discover these tips. And stick around because we're just getting started. So what's the fix? You've got 2 solid approaches. First option, use your mower with a mulching blade attached. Run it over the leaves when they're still relatively thin on the ground. The mower chops them into tiny fragments that fall between the grass blades. In small amounts, these pieces break down naturally and actually feed your soil. Second option, rake them up and move them to places where they'll do more good. Gather the excess and relocate those leaves to flower beds, compost bins, or dedicated leaf piles. Both methods protect your lawn while still making use of this free resource. And here's something worth mentioning. Raking isn't just a chore. For many of us, it's gentle physical activity. It gets you outside breathing fresh air. It connects you with the natural rhythm of the changing seasons. Think of it as investing in both your garden's health and your own well-being.
Blunder number 2, panicking over disease spots. Another concern that comes up constantly is whether it's safe to use leaves that show disease symptoms. You spot black spots on your maple leaves, or you see powdery mildew on your perennials. People get nervous. They've heard warnings about composting diseased plant material, and they worry that fungal spores will survive winter and attack your plants again come spring. Here's the perspective I want you to consider. By the time late fall arrives, practically every leaf in your entire yard carries fungal spores, whether you can see the symptoms or not. These microscopic spores don't just live in your leaves, they float through the air, they ride on raindrops, they settle everywhere. Even if you somehow removed every single visibly diseased leaf from your property, spores would drift in from neighboring yards, from the park down the street, from trees a mile away. They're part of the natural environment. You can't escape them completely, and that's actually okay. Does this mean you should just give up? Absolutely not. It means you don't need to panic about composting diseased leaves. The risk is much smaller than most people believe. If you're building a hot compost pile that reaches temperatures above 140 degrees Fahrenheit, that heat destroys many disease-causing organisms. Even in cooler piles, most spores break down over time. And if you're still uncomfortable using them in your vegetable beds, spread them under trees and shrubs instead. The risk there is practically nothing. Think about forests. Nobody rakes away diseased leaves in the woods, yet forests thrive year after year. The real key is understanding that diseased leaves aren't dangerous threats. They're part of nature's recycling system. They still contain carbon, they still decompose into rich organic matter, they still improve your soil structure over time. Rather than stuffing them into plastic bags where they'll produce harmful methane gas in a landfill, put them to work in your garden. Your soil will be richer, your plants will be healthier, and you'll be working with nature instead of fighting against it.
Blunder number 3, stripping garden beds completely bare. Another mistake I see constantly is gardeners who clear every single leaf from their flower beds before winter, thinking the clean, tidy appearance is somehow better for their plants. But when you strip away all that organic material, you're also removing one of the simplest forms of protection your plants could have. A light covering of leaves functions like nature's blanket. It keeps the soil temperature more stable, protecting roots from harsh swings between freezing and thawing. It locks in moisture during those dry winter winds. It shields plant crowns from the worst of the cold. Think about your perennials, your spring bulbs, the roots of your shrubs and trees. All of them benefit from having a soft layer of leaves above them. Without this protection, the constant freeze-thaw cycles can literally push plants up out of the ground. Roots can dry out and suffer damage. The trick is finding the right balance. Too thin a layer provides inadequate insulation. Too thick a layer, especially in wet winters, can trap excess moisture around delicate plant crowns and cause rot. For most garden situations, a layer about 2 to 3 inches deep works perfectly. Spread your leaves evenly over garden beds in fall. When spring arrives and you see new shoots pushing through, simply pull back some of the leaf cover to give them room to grow. The remaining leaves can stay right where they are, slowly decomposing and feeding your soil throughout the entire growing season. Take a second right now and share this video with a gardening friend who might be making these same mistakes. It could save them a lot of frustration next spring. Watch a woodland floor in spring if you get the chance. You'll see exactly this process at work. Nature doesn't rake, it doesn't bag leaves and throw them away. It lets them protect the soil, break down gradually, and return their goodness back to the earth. By copying this approach, we save money on store-bought mulch and fertilizer, while keeping our plants healthier and our gardens more resilient.
Blunder number 4. Believing leaves steal nutrients.
One of the most stubborn myths circulating among gardeners is that leaves rob nitrogen from your soil. People say, "Don't use leaves, they'll starve your plants." At first glance, this warning seems to make sense because leaves contain lots of carbon but relatively little nitrogen. The truth is more complicated, and understanding the difference is important. When you bury large amounts of leaves directly into the soil, the microbes that break them down do temporarily use up some nitrogen from the surrounding soil. That's where the concern originates. But here's what people miss. When leaves sit on the surface as mulch, the decomposition process happens much slower and gently. Instead of depleting your soil, they gradually enrich it. They add organic matter. They improve soil structure, and eventually they release nutrients back into the earth. Want to speed things up? Mix in some nitrogen-rich materials with your leaves. Grass clippings work great, kitchen scraps help, even a light sprinkling of finished compost balances out the high carbon content and keeps decomposition moving smoothly. This simple trick not only maintains soil balance, but also prevents that soggy, matted mess that many people complain about. Rather than fearing your leaves will rob your garden, see them as long-term soil builders. Chemical fertilizer is like fast food for plants, quick results, but temporary. Leaves are the slow, nourishing meal that keeps soil healthy for years to come. If your plants need an immediate nutrient boost, by all means, add some compost or organic fertilizer. But keep those leaves in place because they're building the foundation your garden will depend on season after season.
Blunder number 5. Thinking your mower can handle everything. Modern equipment makes it tempting to take shortcuts. Mulching mowers get advertised as the magic solution for fall leaves, and in some situations, they work beautifully. But too many gardeners believe they can simply run their mower over piles 6 inches deep and magically transform everything into perfect mulch. Reality is far less convenient. Mowers clog. Wet leaves stick together in clumps and remain on the surface. Instead of feeding the soil, these clumps smother grass and invite fungal problems. The secret to successful mulching with a mower is moderation. It only works when the leaf layer is thin enough that you can still see plenty of green grass after you finish mowing. That's your golden rule. If the leaves are too heavy, don't force it. Rake them off and use them somewhere else instead. And let's not forget, raking isn't just busy work. For many of us, it's pleasant physical activity that keeps our bodies moving without strain. It's a chance to breathe crisp autumn air and enjoy the season. Some of my clearest thinking happens when I'm out with a rake, slowly gathering leaves into piles. If you do prefer using the mower, make sure you're running a mulching blade. When possible, cover the discharge chute so chopped leaves get forced back down and shredded finer. But remember, this tool works best for light jobs. For heavy leaf layers, trust your rake. Your lawn and your body will both be better for it.
Blunder number 6. Treating leaves like garbage. Perhaps the biggest tragedy of all happens when leaves get stuffed into plastic bags, stacked at the curb, and hauled away to landfills. Every single year, millions upon millions of tons of leaves get treated like garbage. Once buried in landfills without oxygen, they release methane, a greenhouse gas far more damaging than carbon dioxide. It's terrible for the environment, but it's also terrible for your garden because you're literally giving away free organic matter that could save you money on mulch and fertilizer. Instead of throwing leaves away, think of them as a savings account for soil health. They can be stored easily and transformed into something gardeners call leaf mold, a crumbly, earthy material that works absolute wonders in the garden. You don't need fancy equipment. A simple wire bin works. An old compost cage is fine. Even black trash bags with holes punched in the sides for airflow will do the job. Pile your leaves in, moisten them slightly, and let time work its magic. In 1 to 2 years, you'll have material that looks like rich forest soil, perfect for improving both sandy and clay soils. Leaf mold is especially valuable because it doesn't just feed plants, it transforms the actual structure of your soil. Sandy soil that used to drain too quickly now holds water longer. Clay soil that was heavy and difficult to work becomes looser and easier to manage. Every type of soil gains a sponge-like ability to retain both moisture and nutrients. It's like giving your garden a permanent upgrade without spending a penny. So the next time you see neighbors bagging leaves for the dump, remember you don't need to follow that example. Keep your leaves close, let them break down naturally, and watch how your garden rewards you for making the most of what nature has already provided. If you're getting value from this, please hit that like button and consider subscribing to Hidden Gardening Secrets. We post new videos every week to help you create your best garden ever.
Blunder number 7, using any leaf anywhere without a plan. Not all leaves behave the same way once they hit the ground. Some, like birch or cherry leaves, are light and thin. They break down quickly, returning nutrients to soil within a single season. Others, like oak or magnolia leaves, are thick and waxy. They resist decomposition and can take years to break down completely. Then you have leaves from black walnut or eucalyptus trees, which contain natural chemicals that can actually prevent certain plants from growing properly. When we toss all types of leaves together without any thought or plan, problems develop. Heavy oak leaves can mat down and form a water-resistant barrier that suffocates delicate perennials. Walnut leaves dumped directly into a vegetable bed can stunt seedlings. Pine needles, while excellent in moderation, can make soil too acidic if piled too thickly in one spot. The solution isn't to fear these different types of leaves, it's to use them strategically. Tougher leaves, like oak or magnolia, are fantastic for pathways, erosion control, or long-term mulch under large shrubs and trees where slow breakdown is actually beneficial. Walnut leaves can be composted separately for a season or two until juglone, the growth-blocking compound they contain, has broken down completely. Pine needles, used in reasonable amounts, make superb mulch for acid-loving plants like blueberries, azaleas, or rhododendrons. By matching the right type of leaf to the right purpose, you avoid problems entirely. Better yet, you create a system where every type of leaf serves a useful role. Instead of fighting against their differences, you put their unique qualities to work. And that's one of the quiet joys of gardening, turning what seems like a challenge into an advantage.
Blunder number 8, expecting instant results. The final mistake is perhaps the most human of all, impatience. Many of us spread leaves in October, and then by March we expect to see them fully decomposed into rich compost. When we discover most of them still look unchanged, we assume something went wrong. But leaves aren't quick food for the soil. They're a slow meal, a long-term investment that builds fertility gradually over time. In cooler climates, decomposition doesn't really accelerate until late spring, when soil temperatures rise and microbial activity picks up again. In the meantime, those leaves are quietly protecting your soil. They shield it from erosion. They moderate temperature swings. They conserve precious moisture. By the following summer and fall, you'll begin noticing their transformation into darker, crumbly material. By the second year, they become the humus-rich amendment every gardener dreams of having. The lesson here isn't to expect instant gratification. Fertilizers can provide a quick boost if your plants need immediate help, but leaves are about building long-term health. They improve soil structure, they invite earthworms, they foster beneficial microbial life that supports your plants for years into the future. It's like planting a tree. You don't expect shade overnight, but with patience, the rewards are lasting and abundant. If you can shift your thinking from short-term fixes to long-term soil building, leaves stop feeling like clutter and start feeling like treasure. They're not there to solve all your garden's problems by next season. They're there to create a foundation of fertility and resilience that keeps your garden thriving year after year after year.
The bigger picture, what leaves teach us about gardening and life. As you look across your yard this fall and see the ground covered in leaves, I hope you see them with fresh eyes. Not as a chore, not as a burden, and certainly not as waste. Each leaf that drifts down from the trees is a tiny piece of tomorrow's soil, a fragment of nourishment waiting to be returned to the earth. When we handle them wisely, they insulate our plants, enrich our compost, and transform poor soil into fertile ground. But there's something deeper happening here too. Leaves remind us of the cycles of life itself. They fall, they rest, they break down, and in time, they return as new growth. In many ways, gardening teaches us patience, resilience, and trust in the slow but steady work of nature. For those of us who have lived through many autumns, there's real comfort in that rhythm. It's a reminder that letting go is not the end of something, it's the beginning of renewal. So this year, don't rush to bag your leaves and send them away. Keep them, cherish them, let them work for you. Turn what others see as a nuisance into your greatest ally in the garden. Because every leaf that falls carries a promise of richer soil, healthier plants, and a more abundant spring waiting just around the corner. Before you go, make sure you're subscribed to Hidden Gardening Secrets so you don't miss our upcoming videos on winter garden prep, spring planning, and so much more. Drop a comment and let me know which of these mistakes you've made. No judgment here, we've all done them. And if this helped you, please share it with fellow gardeners who could use these tips. Thank you for spending this time with me. I'm William Scott, and I believe gardening is more than just a hobby. It's a way of nurturing not just our soil, but our spirits. Let's make every season in the garden a season of growth, learning, and joy. Until next time, keep growing, keep learning, and keep those leaves working for you.